Good morning, everybody, or whatever time of day it is for you. Stephen D here, Steve Searles. Today's topic: why I'm sick and tired of the media fluffing John McCain. Hey, I know McCain has cancer. I know he's dying. Very sorry about that. But let's not turn the man into a saint. All right, he's not. He's been a crook, a bigot, enabled war crimes, screwed up with veterans' health care. So let's enough of it, all right? Let's go through the record. Let's start from the first thing that John McCain did to screw people over. Maybe you don't remember this. Maybe you're too young. I don't know. But there was this thing called the Keating Five. Right? Keating was this real estate developer and owner of a savings and loan in Arizona called Lincoln that bilked people out of billions of dollars. And when it went under, they lost everything. And it was 1985. This was in the middle of the savings and loan crisis, kind of like the worst financial crisis in the history of the United States until 2008 came along, and 5 senators went and talked to regulators on behalf of Keating's savings and loan to get them off his back. Okay, one of those was John McCain. Now, John McCain not only was a personal friend of John Keating, he received $112,000 or more in money, contributions to his campaigns. This is back in 1985, late 80s period. That's a lot of, fucking money, people, back then. It's a lot of fucking money. But that's nothing compared, the other things that happened was, McCain married rich, okay? And guess who got cut into real estate deals that Keating had? McCain's wife and her father, McCain's father-in-law. So he wasn't just benefiting, from campaign contributions. He was personally benefiting from these deals that they were cut into, where they made profits off of. And then on top of that, Keating was flying McCain and his wife and his family out to his, Bahamas mansion for vacations or trips, whatever. Now McCain, I don't know how he managed to scrape by every one of the other senators who was involved, and they were all Democrats, by the way, is no longer in politics. Yet somehow McCain is still around. Well, I guess it helps having been a prisoner of war, and I don't want to demean anybody who served, had to suffer at being a prisoner of war, but let's get on to the next topic. What has McCain done as a former prisoner of war hero, whatever you want to call him, for veterans? Well, he sure hasn't stopped sending them to war. He's voted for every goddamn war that we've tried to get into or gone into. In fact, he's pushed for wars that we had no reason to go into. Imagine this. It's September 2012. Okay? 9/11 has just happened. Alright, Al Qaeda has been named, Afghanistan has been targeted. And what does McCain do? He goes on television and he tells people, okay? Now let me look at this here. I got this pulled from stories about what McCain's record was. Alright, September 12, 2001. This is the day after 9/11. He's on Hardball with Chris Matthews. And he says, these organizations, he's talking about Al Qaeda, could not flourish effectively unless they had help and assistance and safe harbor in these nations. And it's not just Afghanistan. We're talking about, wait for it, Syria, Iraq, Iran, North Korea, Libya, and others. In other words, shock. All the nations except for North Korea that we've tried to go to, that we've gone to war against, okay, since 9/11. But I mean, okay, well, that's just, he's just throwing, maybe the administration gave him that, but he's clearly carrying the water. The day after 9/11, he's already talking about all the other countries we got to go after. Then on October 18, he goes on David Letterman's show, right after the anthrax, okay? And then he said, okay, I think that anthrax came from Iran. I'm sorry, from Iraq. That's right. He had no proof, no evidence, but he's going to tell everybody it came from Iraq. So October, he's already pushing for us to attack Iraq. Then in January of 2002, all right, we're finished with Afghanistan. There's no evidence that Iraq is involved in anything. What does John McCain do? On an aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea, he's speaking to a bunch of troops. He goes, next up, Baghdad. It's January 2002, folks. We have no evidence that Iraq is involved. None. He's already saying, keep fighting. Let's throw more troops at this thing. Then he goes to a security conference in NATO, February 2nd, 2002. He said terrorist training camps exist on Iraqi soil, and Iraqi officials have known to have a number of contacts with Al-Qaeda. Lies. All been debunked. In fact, the only terrorist training camps that were on Iraqi soil were anti-Iranian training camps. Okay, terrorists who were attacking and committing terrorist attacks on the Iranian regime. But there were no Al-Qaeda ties to Iraq. So he goes, the next front is apparent. We should not shrink from acknowledging it. A terrorist resides in Baghdad with resources of an entire state at his disposal, defying the world, flush with cash from illicit oil revenues, and proud of a decade-long record of defying the international community's demands to come clean on his programs to develop weapons of mass destruction. There were no fucking weapons of mass destruction. So again, this is February 2002. He's already starting to prime the pump. Hey, we gotta go to war against Iraq. We gotta go to war against Iraq. Lies. Lying for George Bush. Okay? He literally says, look, we need regime change in Iraq. This is, again, 2002, February. Gotta do it. Gotta go in there somehow. Gotta get rid of them. Gotta get rid of these weapons of mass destruction and their, quote, ability to export them to other countries. You know who was developing weapons of mass destruction and exporting them to other countries? Our ally, Pakistan. But he wasn't calling for us to attack Pakistan. Fuck no. He was calling for us to attack Iraq. But, I mean, obviously, who needs facts when you can just sit there and gin up any war you want? You do know we killed, or millions of people died. Iraqis, non-Iraqis, American soldiers, as a result of our involvement in Iraq. We still have people in Iraq. We had no business going to Iraq. The biggest foreign policy error in our history. Okay? And John McCain was cheerleading for it. Right? Early 2003, when everybody's calling for the invasion, remember? When Phil Donahue literally got fired by MSNBC because he was putting people on the air that were anti-war. one anti-war person for every 2 pro-war person. But that was still too much for MSNBC, so they got rid of Phil Donahue. Now, if you don't know who Phil Donahue was, at that time, he was the most popular program on MSNBC. Okay? So here he is in early 2003. September 11 showed Al-Qaeda as a grave threat. Saddam has the ability to make a far worse day of infamy by turning Iraq into a weapons assembly for Al-Qaeda's network. Just pulling shit out of his ass. Alright? Trying to get us to go to war. Okay? A war that ended up costing us trillions of dollars, cost millions of lives, damaged and set the Middle East into chaos. But does John McCain give a fuck? No, he did not. He did not care about the people that were going to be killed in Iraq. He did not care about our soldiers who were going to die or suffer traumatic injuries. He didn't give a shit. He fucking lied. Or if he didn't lie, he acted with, a reckless disregard for the truth. Because he likes war, people. This is who you're glorifying, you media types in Washington Times, Washington Post, New York Times, whatever. This is the guy you're holding up and saying, oh, our beloved St. John of McCain. I get it, he's dying, but he's a fucking warmonger. He took money from, a scam artist. Keating, and he got lucky, he got away with it, despite the fact that he was literally being bribed to get the regulators off the back of this guy, and when that savings loan collapsed, people lost their life savings. But hey, that didn't bother McCain, because his family got cut a good deal on some of those. They made their money. So anyway, okay. So from right after 9/11, literally the day after 9/11, he's calling for an attack on Iraq and consistently went for it. All right, but I mean, he's also been he's been calling for wars all along. He wanted us to do more when we were bombing Bosnia and Kosovo. He wanted us to get more involved there. Okay, he wanted to bomb Iran. You might remember 2008, the little ditty where he pretended, he was doing a little karaoke on, the Beach Boys. Bomb, 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 Iran. That's why he's running for fucking president, people. This is the guy you want to make into a saint? This is the guy that you just got to say, oh, poor John McCain. Look, a lot of people get cancer. Alright? A lot of people. How many of them have access to the best medical care they can possibly get? How many of them don't have to worry about a thing financially, knowing that they're covered, that no matter the cost, they're taken care of? Well, McCain is. I'm really sorry he's dying of cancer. Cancer's a nasty thing. My wife had cancer. Pancreatic cancer. She's lucky to be alive. The chemotherapy they used on her destroyed her brain cells, caused traumatic brain injury. We still have to fight to get coverage for some of the medications she's on, and they won't cover other treatments, non-medical treatments, which are more effective. But hey, McCain, that doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him that there are people with GoFundMe sites trying to get, pay for their cancer treatments, and these are people with insurance under the Affordable Care Act, which, by the way, John McCain did not support. And if you doubt me on that, if you want to say, but he came in and, he saved the Affordable Care Act. Here's from his own fucking website, okay? John McCain's website. Here's his view on healthcare. Senator McCain believes that the American people should have access to affordable healthcare insurance. Affordable. We all know what that means. In other words, something that's going to pay the private sector. But he strongly disagrees with the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act as the best solution. Senator McCain will continue to work with his colleagues in Congress to repeal and replace. the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act for a more financially responsible option. Yeah, more financially responsible. In other words, one that will continue to provide lots and lots of money to big pharma and big insurance. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, he's your hero on healthcare. He fucking is. He voted for the repeal of healthcare numerous times prior to Trump getting into office. Which, by the way, getting back to the war thing, guess who told Trump once Trump was in office, hey, don't take attacking North Korea off the table. I don't care they got nukes. Yeah, that's right. John McCain. Can't take that off the table. Can't ever take that option off the table. Gotta be able to strike North Korea. Gotta be able to go. We got fucking Trump in office, and he's encouraging Trump, you know, keep that option on the table. Okay. Supported regime change. Libya. Got his wish there. Syria. Oh, fuck. Didn't get his wish there. Supported regime change in Ukraine. Literally supported and met with fascists, neo-Nazis. You don't believe me? It's in the record. Okay? I'll go to it right now. Just give me a second. Okay. Here's his article about his ties to neo-Nazis. This is the guy he met with. This guy's named Andrei Perubi. I'm sorry, I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong. One of the most notorious right-wing extremists in Ukrainian politics. Founder of the far-right Social National Party of Ukraine, whose names and symbols were inspired by Germany's Nazi Party. He directed the street muscle in Kiev's Maidan Square that resulted in the coup against Ukraine's elected government. I don't care what you think about Ukraine's government. The people that overthrew him were fucking fascists. Neo-Nazis. And guess what? Neo-Nazis now are leading the parliament. 2 decades, this Perubi character, 2 decades after founding the Neo-Nationalist Party by claiming it was the last hope of the white race, of humankind as such, this guy becomes elected the head of Ukraine's parliament. You know what? Ukraine, this guy, neo-Nazi, McCain met with him. He met with him in Ukraine in support of these street fights by these Nazis that led to the coup. And then he met with him afterwards when this guy came to the United States. That's right, during the Obama administration. He came to the United States. And Paul Ryan and John McCain met with him and said they had great discussions with that fucking neo-Nazi. These are the same people that, you know, had been expelled from other parties for calling on their people to fight against the Muscovite Jewish mafia. But hey, you know, democracy, right? He supported democracy. Bullshit. You know, he's called for interventions in Africa. Oddly enough, in countries where his family has investments. Nigeria, among them. Okay, so this is not a nice man. This is a terrible man. Well, okay, right, he's a veteran, right? Surely he's done good things for veterans. No. No, he screwed over veterans too. In 2008, when he was running for president, veterans groups were upset at his, and they documented 28 times when he voted against bills that would have supported veterans. All right? Disabled American veterans gave him a 20% rating for his voting record on veterans issues. Iraq and Afghanistan of America, veterans of America, gave him a D for his poor voting. including his votes against additional body armor for troops in combat and additional funding for PTSD and brain injury scanning and treatment. That's right. McCain didn't even want to help out his fellow veterans who suffered because of a war that he sent them to that they didn't have to fucking fight, because he helped lie us into it. So okay, you guys go fight this war. We don't need it. But hey, there's oil there, as Bush admitted later on. Hey, there's weapons of mass destruction. I don't have any evidence of it, but you know, hey, Iraq's probably behind this anthrax attacks. Oh, we gotta go fucking kill about 1 million people in Iraq. Right, what else did he do? Well, he had a proposal to eliminate guaranteed medical care for veterans. That's right, that's what he was running on in 2008. A proposal to eliminate guaranteed medical care for veterans by privatizing. Privatizing the VA. Even though there's been hundreds of studies that have shown that veterans forced to seek care in the private market don't do as well when and it costs them more than the care that they get at the VA. Of course, he's also voted numerous times to fully fund the VA. In 1991, he voted against providing automatic annual cost of living adjustments for benefits to veterans. Then he supported appropriations bills that would have underfunded the Department of Veterans Affairs by $8.9 billion in 1991 and $13 billion in 1992. Between 1999 and 2001, he stood against bills that would have provided regular annual increases in funding for the Department of Veterans Affairs. Yeah, he really gives a fuck about veterans. And in 2003, after the U.S. had been at war in Afghanistan for more than a year, he voted against providing additional funding to the VA. You think you want to know why the VA, isn't as good as we'd like it to be? John McCain, war hero. He's part of the problem, people. He's part of the fucking problem. In 2005, when it was clear, really clear, that we were suffering unprecedented cases of PTSD, he voted against providing a mere $500 million for mental health counseling, mental health and rehabilitation services for veterans suffering from mental illness, PTSD, or substance abuse. Knowing what we now know, this is obscene. This is obscene what this guy is. And he's constantly supported privatization in government. Prison privatization of veterans. He opposed the 21st Century GI Bill. The only reason a lot of people even sign up for the fucking volunteer armed forces, because that's their only way of paying for college or paying for trade schools or whatever. Their only chance at having any kind of hope for a career outside of the Army. I know. That's why my daughter's boyfriend joined the Army Reserves, just so he could take advantage of that. And for all I know, it's going to end up getting fucking killed or maimed or wounded in some future war that we're already planning, whether it's against Iran or someplace else. Right, so enough already about making McCain a hero. This is the guy, and this is personal to me. This is the real topper. In 2000, he was running for president, right? Maverick John McCain. You know what's so fucking maverick about him? He was an open bigot, openly using racial slurs, calling people gooks. And he never fucking apologized once for it. He said, I'll never stop calling them gooks. Of course, he claimed he's only talking about, his captors in North Vietnam. But that's bullshit. You know where Gooks come from? It was originally a racial slur developed against the people in the Philippines. It now generally applies to every Asian American. And Asian American people ripped him for this. Up and down. And he refused to apologize. I personally, okay, in my city, and you can look this up, had an op-ed in the Democrat and Chronicle. Alright, that's the name of the local newspaper. And my op-ed simply asked McCain and everybody else not to use racial slurs. Very polite. I said, my own children, because I'm married. My wife is Nisei, Japanese. Her parents immigrated from Japan. She was born American, first generation America. Issei is the ones they call the people who immigrate. They're first generation. Second generation for the people who were born, Nisei. Alright? So my kids are, what they sometimes call Hapa. That is, children who are half Asian, half some other heritage, whether it's white, African American, anything. Okay? And my kids have been subjected to racial slurs. My son by his own fucking soccer coach. Youth soccer coach. So I don't think it was that big of a stretch just to ask John McCain to stop using the word gooks. Do you? But no, John McCain's too fucking maverick to do that. And nobody really ever called him on that. No, he got a pass on that. Like he's been getting a pass on everything else in his fucking life. So don't tell me he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Washington Beltway media. Just because he's always willing to go on your shows and give you a maverick opinion. Like his maverick opinion is to go to war against Iraq for no fucking reason. Or his maverick opinion is to bomb Iran. Or his maverick opinion is not to give, critical healthcare services to veterans who he was responsible in part for sending to that fucking meat grinder of a war in Iraq. And don't say he's a healthcare savior either, because he's not. If he had his way, our whole healthcare system would be privatized. Completely. And we'd still be paying, and as it is, it's bad enough as it is, people. Alright, those of you who don't have good health care, which is majority of us. I know lots of people whose family members have died of cancer. You know what? They lost everything trying to save their lives. They went bankrupt. We have the highest percentage of bankruptcies due to medical costs of any country in the world, period. Well, John McCain's not going to go bankrupt because he got cancer. He lived well into, his old age. And he's going to die, and I'm sorry he's going to die, but everybody dies. And a lot of people die of cancer, but not everybody dies after, not having to worry about their finances. A lot of people don't have that added stress of having cancer and thinking you might die again, and then wondering where you're going to be able, how you're going to pay for it. So no, John McCain is not a nice guy. He's a bad guy. He's a fucking asshole. He's a crook. So stop trying to make him look like he's a good guy. Yeah, I know, Trump is worse, right? Trump is so terrible. But that's no excuse for us to suddenly say, oh, boy, wouldn't it be nice if we had McCain as president? Well, you know what? We did McCain as president. He would have bomb Iran in 2008. So think about that while you're, writing up your little hagiography and trying to get him, made a secular saint. Trying to put his fucking face up there on Mount Rushmore. And excuse me for using fucking so much, but John McCain is a fucking person. He is the worst kind of person. He's a psychopath, sociopath. He doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself. So stop, media, just stop. That's all I gotta say. So long to everybody, and fuck you, John. I will not stop using the word Gooks McCain. Fuck you. So long. Have a nice day, everybody.